Hey everyone, welcome to my reader's journal. Today I'm going to be going over the book Earth to Charlie by Justin Olson, and I wanted to start off this video by reading the summary that is in the back because that is essentially what got me interested in reading the book. And it's going to give you context of like what the book is. So it says, Charlie Dickens spends his nights searching for UFOs. He doesn't have much except for his mother's promise. The aliens that took her are coming back for him, but years have gone by, and Charlie is still stuck in his small Montana town with a father he doesn't get along with, the bullies who torment him, and the grandma who doesn't remember him. His only friends are his 600-pound neighbor, Jeffrey, and Tickles, Jeffrey's three-legged dog. Then Charlie meets self-assured, down-to-earth Seth, who shows him what real friendship is all about. For once, he finds himself looking around at the life in front of him instead of looking up. Maybe leaving Earth isn't what he really wants. But one night, Charlie finds that he might not have a choice. Are the aliens coming for him after all? Earth to Charlie is a story about friendship, grief, and alien abductions that will have readers forging onward into futures as bright as stars. So, again, that is the premise, that is a summary that is in the back, and that's essentially what draw me forward. And before I move on to like the rest of the book, talking about the book and everything, I do want to point out that this is actually the debut novel for Justin. This is his first book, and I did a quick search right before the video and found out that so far this is the only book that he has written so far. And besides this book, he has written in some magazines and stuff like that, like little articles and stuff. But this is like his first book, his first novel. So knowing that now, it kind of makes sense as to why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling about this book. So, not to spoil anything right now, but my thoughts on this book. When I first read it, I had given it a 3 star out of 5. I wasn't sure how to feel about it. I didn't like it, but I didn't dislike it. Then a year happened, and now that I'm actually going to review it and like really think about it, my thoughts did move that rating from a 3 star rating down to a 2 star rating. I overall thought that execution wise, it didn't deliver. It has good moments. It has, again, like to me, a good premise. Like what I read, like I was interested in. So that's really what got it 2 stars. But overall, the execution, the end product isn't enough for me to move it up to a 4 star. And again, because of the letdown that I had reading the book, that moved it from 3 down to a 2. So that's basically the non spoiler part of it. Would I recommend this book? Honestly, I wouldn't. If you want to read a book that will be a quick read, then sure, go ahead and knock yourself out. But it's not one that I'm gonna be like, yeah, you gotta read it, or I'm gonna tell my friends like, oh, you gotta read this book. Like it's nothing special in a sense. And again, for me, it was a letdown. But now I'm gonna talk about spoilers. So if you do want to read it, this is the time to stop. Um, but moving forward, I'm gonna spoil the book. So when I'm saying that it was a letdown, is reading the book. Obviously, I was under the impression that there would be alien abductions. There would be aliens. I was wrong. There are no aliens. The whole premise, or at least the whole foundation of this book, ends up being that Charlie is using like the alien abduction, the story about the aliens, this imagination of the aliens, in order to basically cover up the fact that his mother abandoned him. Like, mom abandoned like him and dad, right? And he basically goes through this whole book still believing in the aliens, believing that his mother's gonna come back, and all this. And it isn't until the very end that we find out, like for sure, from the dad, that Charlie's mom left them. She has schizophrenia, and she ended up leaving them, and they haven't had any contact ever since. And Dad does give Charlie like a phone number for him to call, and like literally on the last page, Charlie does call, but he doesn't have, I guess, the way that it's explained in the book is that he doesn't really have a desire to really talk to his mom once he hears her, because he doesn't feel connected anymore, so he ends up like not speaking to her, um because he feels like he already has a home now and everything, and it's established that like that's the arc that he goes through. um but we that like happens on the last page, and then that's it. And I think that that part should have happened like three-fourths of the way, and that way like for the last quarter of the book we really are seeing him change his perspective. uh but we don't really get to see that. Everything else in the sense of like the way he's treated by his father, the way that other people are treating him, again, very one-dimensional, very standard. And even like the friendship that he has with Seth, that was a part that I was liking. Like I was liking that he was basically getting a new friend, right? Seth is someone who's new to town, and they end up becoming friends. And Seth is the type of person who, if I remember correctly, wasn't like unpopular. Like he could have gone out and be friends with other people, but like he chose to be friends with Charlie, which I thought uh, was admirable and like a good like story beat. But one thing that Justin did that kind of tainted um, the book for me, and then also one of the reasons why I moved the star rating from 3 to 2, is Seth comes out and says that he essentially has a crush on Charlie, and that was like pretty much the main reason why he first started talking to Charlie. Like he thought um, that he was attractive and he wanted to get to know him, stuff like that. And the reason why that tainted the story for me is because the story isn't like a romantic story. And from the back of the book, again, it's talking about friendship. Like from the summary, it's a story about like friendship. It's a story about a kid who doesn't have any friends, and he finally finds someone who he can be friends with, someone who is able to like ground him and really show him that like, hey, life around you is pretty good, you just have to enjoy it. But then adding this like crush element, I just didn't like it. Again, it to me it just didn't fit. So that really brought it down from 3 to 2. And I think the only thing I really have to say, again, just pointing out the foundation of this, is the fact that he was hiding his trauma of his mom leaving due to aliens. And I feel like that should have been more deeply explored. Like, again, having that reveal earlier on in the book. That way, like, even if it's just that last quarter of the book that's really dealing with the aftermath of it. Um, but yeah, like I said, I give this book 2 out of 5. Overall, I didn't like the way that it ended, didn't like the way it pretty much was delivered. Would I recommend it again? Not really. This is a book that I had hopes for due to the premise. Um, and under a different author, I can see, again, if they had been given this premise, I can see this book doing well. Um, but not the one that I have right in front of me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you've read this book, go ahead and leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you, and yeah, have a good night.